Hey everybody, this is Perch. I see this opinion show up in comments from time to time, and so I want to give you some other options of what you can do. And it's basically, opinion is I won't give Disney my money. Now there could be a bunch of reasons for that. It may be because of Disney's actions with China. It may be there could be lots of reasons why you've decided to make that stance. This video is not to convince you to give your money to Disney. Long before Disney owned Marvel, there were plenty of people who disliked Disney. I've got a friend who refuses to go to Disney. Kids are desperate to go to Disneyland or just the theme parks in general, like Mickey Mouse. I mean, this is a major company that produces things very, focus group geared to for what kids like. So if you have small kids, they're gonna like Disney stuff. They're gonna want it. So steering away from that's tough. But basically, their stance was Disney has horrible human worker rights and treats their people badly and is a merciless kind of corporation. And I refuse to support that. Is the basic opinion, and that's fine. Again, that's your call. But if you're a comic fan and you don't want to support Disney, or now you don't want to support AT&T because you hate those corporations, or you don't like Marvel because of the leadership there, or what they're doing, or DC, or whatever it happens to be. You don't like a company. What do you do? I had the question came up in the comments a bit ago saying I really would like to read Kraven's Last Hunt. I've never read it. I've heard good things. You guys did a good retrospective on it. Why? Where can I get it? Where I don't want to give Disney any of my money, so I don't want to give them any money. And the answer is there's a couple places. The first and obvious one certainly is go to your local comic shop, buy back issues. You're not giving them your money. I thought everybody understood this, but just for what it's worth, if you go to a comic shop and you buy a back issue, the money that you're giving the shop owner is kept by the shop owner. They don't have to funnel that money back. Disney has no stake. Marvel has DC. None of these companies have any stake in back issues. Once the comic is sold to the comic shop, it is truly sold, meaning the comic shop pays a wholesale price to Diamond and ultimately to Marvel and DC for a comic. And they own it, and they can, in theory, the comic shop could take that comic and rather than charge $4.99, could charge $20 on day one if they wanted to. They can't on day one charge 25 cents for it, both because they'd be losing money, and there's also this whole MSRP where part of your agreement is that you won't take the comics and immediately charge less. There's a window, and that's a video for another day. I can get into the whole details around that. But once it's in the comic shop, it's you're giving money to the shop. Even if you buy, by the way, a new issue, if you buy like the newest issue of King in Black, you're giving money to that shop. You're not, the money has already been given to Disney from the shop owner. So your cash, as it were, is going to the shop. It's not going back to Disney. But back issues are even cleaner. That's stuff that has been in the comic store, possibly traded or bought and sold back and forth multiple times with collectors and other things. So that money is definitely going to the shop. But Kraven's Last Hunt is a tough one because you're going to be paying some top dollar for those comics. They're expensive. So then another option for you is trades. And certainly there are new trades that are at the comic shop, booksellers, Barnes & Noble, other places that you can buy. Those are produced by Disney. But there's been plenty of trades that have been printed in the past. I mean, Kraven's Last Hunt, I want to say at least 8 versions of this trade have been produced. And so you can go to Amazon and you can buy different editions, but most of them are going to be the newest one that's produced by Disney, by the company. You can also go to a place like Half Price Books, which a lot of people forget about, but I would highly recommend that place. Half Price Books they don't use a comic guy, at least as far as I know, to price those comics. There's a small collection of back issues there, but depending on the shop. There's one nearby me that has a pretty substantial back issue collection of comics there. They're not in mint. You're not going to go to Half Price Books and find something that's graded high. You're going to find older stuff. But I was in one of those the other day looking around, and I came across some of the Mark Grunwald Cap Run, and they were in there for 75 cents. Like the quality was you know, fair, fair to near mint. They were decent, clearly had been read before, but under a dollar. There's a lot of comics you can find there, and I would recommend doing it. But more importantly, they have a lot of trades there as well. They have some omnibuses. They have a lot of things, and in almost all cases, well below whatever the cover price was. So it is an opportunity for you to go find some comics, especially if you just want to try some stuff out at a really cheap rate. I know Ollie's has similar things. There's places you can go. But I think Half Price Books is mostly on the West Coast. But if you've never heard of that, check that out. In fact, I think there's an online way you can get to them as well. But that is, you can get a lot of stuff very, very cheap. And especially if you're getting into comics or when you try comics, you want to look at back issues, you want to look at some of this stuff, you can pick up a lot for very little at that place. So I would, I'd do that. And again, all the money you're spending there is going to Half Price Books. They're not then writing a check. The way that shop operates is somebody came into them and dumped off comics. And in many cases, it's that proverbial, mom cleaned out the attic and went and took boxes and boxes of comics to Half Price Books. I was joking with the manager of the store that they've seen all kinds of stuff come through there. They've seen, original kind of Captain America issues, old Batman issues. They've seen stuff worth thousands of dollars come through there. Typically, they're not supposed to, when they see something like that, take it themselves. They have to put it out for sale if it comes in. I guarantee you 100% of the time that is not what happens. And again, the stuff's not in perfect condition. If you want a higher quality comic, head to your local comic shop, buy those back issues for higher money. That is what you should do. But to get a good quality graded book. But if you're just getting started, you want to kind of see some of these things out, you don't want to spend a lot of cash, that's definitely the place to go. But overall, I get the idea that you don't want to give your money to these corporations, and I understand. Like I said, this predates anything to do with comics. There's always reasons people want to take a stance against a particular company because they don't like their practices or what have you. But it's two sides to that. Number one, consider if that's the best way to do your boycott. You are one individual, and your lack of funding is not going to be noticed. Now, if you and a million of your friends all do it, then it will, but you as an individual won't be noticed. So then ask yourself this: am I doing it, to punish them or to make myself feel better? And making yourself feel better is okay. In fact, that's the good reason to do this. If you're doing it to punish them, you're probably not punishing them. They're probably not going to notice. So the better reason is to make you, to feel good about yourself. And when saying it like that, it sounds like I'm being sarcastic or that's a bad thing. But no, you should do things in your life that make you feel good about the choices and the position that you take. And in this case, that's exactly it. It's you should do things that are going to make you feel good about how you're living your life, make you feel like you're living up to the values you've set for yourself. And if that is the reason why you don't want to give, for example, money to Disney because you object to their practices and this helps you sleep at night, then that's a good reason. But if that is your reason, make sure you're looking at it, across the board. It's if you find corporations that are truly abhorrent, understand everything that they're into, because more times than not, I've met people who are like, I refuse to give any money to Disney. I won't. They're a terrible company. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to watch my sports on ESPN and my shows on ABC, and I'm going to completely ignore Disney. It's like, you realize Disney owns those two things, right? It's like, oh. So if you're taking that stance, make sure you do some research and go all in. Don't do it halfsies. That's how it goes. But anyway, on the positive side, again, it's just there are some great places you may not be aware of that have comic books where you can get comic books cheap and free and support, local bookshops and other things. And you should, go check them out. Definitely your local comic shop. Absolutely. But there are some other sources as well. So you may have some too. Why don't you leave them in the comments below, help some people out, let people know where they can go to find some comics. That's always cool. Like and subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube dumped a bunch of people because that's apparently what they do. And thanks for listening.